Welcome to the show, everybody. It sounds like I got some background. There we go. I had the YouTube playing in the other window. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the Cross and the Crescent discussion group. This is a live stream program dedicated to rightly dividing the truth between Christianity and Islam. We're here every Sunday afternoon from about 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock. I would say religiously, but that would make it, I don't know, that'd be kind of heretical to say. It doesn't matter. Today we're going to be having another debate. Today I've invited our friend Nadir Ahmed to come on to the show, and we're going to debate, was Jesus crucified? I know we did this debate with a gentleman from, I think he was from Egypt, Mohammed Edelman, I believe his name was, 3 weeks ago. Believe me, none of the material has changed since then. So you probably are going to be hearing some of the same things from me, but that's okay. And today's debate is going to be moderated by our friend Steve Mashney. Steve is going to make sure that we all stay on time. He's going to tell us what the format is going to be. And then after the debate, Nadir, am I right on this, that you agreed to stay after for a Q&A? You're muted. Muted. Okay, I got the thumbs up. He doesn't have to say anything. I don't even know. You don't have laryngitis or anything today. You're not going
to. Oh, no, I'm good.
Oh, okay. Well, there we go. Man, that's a loud mic, too. All right, Steve, the flow is yours.
Okay. All right. Welcome, everybody, to this debate. And it's going to be a really awesome time. And we pray that it'll touch people's lives and enlighten, open eyes. And so we have Eric, who has been doing this Crossing the Crescent live stream for between 5 and 6 or 7 years. And we have Nadir Ahmed, Muslim debater, who has debated lots of people. And you probably have seen his debates online. And so the format is that we're going to have 10-minute openings. Eric will go first, and then we're going to have 10-minute rebuttals from each of the participants. And then afterwards, we're going to have a crossfire where they can speak to each other and ask each other questions. And then we're going to have Q&A, which will be an opportunity for the audience. If you have questions for either of the participants, you will be able to ask them at that time. Okay. And with the subject being the crucifixion of Jesus Christ, we'll go ahead and I think we can go ahead and get started then. And Eric, if you're ready, maybe to start your 10-minute intro.
Okay, thank you, Steve. What we're going to do is I'm going to start with the slideshow like I always do. And I'm going to begin by saying that the crucifixion of Jesus Christ is a historical event. Historical events can be measured by the evidence using the historical method to demonstrate the veracity. When we look at all of these historical events that I have listed here, the crucifixion of Jesus Christ has just as much, if not more, attestation than these events. So then the question becomes, or then it is, therefore, the responsibility of the Muslim to demonstrate and provide evidence that Jesus Christ was not crucified. When we look at historical statements, I'm sorry, Rad did that. I'm blaming you, Rad. Historical statements, they have to be supported by facts using the historical method itself. Where is this? Why is this not working? There we go. So if I was to say Jesus was a Jew who lived in first century Israel, that's a historical fact. Muhammad made a Hijra to Medina, 626. That is a historical fact. But Jesus Christ rising from the grave, or Muhammad riding a Barak to Jerusalem, these are beliefs. These are theological beliefs. So when we look at the Quran itself, the Quran makes a historical claim. It makes a claim about a known historical fact. In 4:157, it says they did not kill him, nor did they crucify him. That is a historical claim. So therefore, it must be justified or substantiated using historical facts. So when we look at the crucifixion of Jesus, it is supported by early attestation. You have the Bible predicting the crucifixion of Jesus, describing the crucifixion of Jesus, and then showing the post-resurrection from the dead, from the crucifixion appearances. You have extra biblical evidence supporting the crucifixion of Jesus, and you also have statements all over the place by the early church fathers stating that Jesus was crucified. Then you also have the consensus of all historians. When I say all historians, these are historians that publish in theological and historical journals using the peer-reviewed method. They all say that Jesus was crucified. The crucifixion of Jesus Christ is as historical as you possibly can come to. And when I talk about early attestation, I end with the last gospel, John 5:2. I'm not going to go into the rest of this stuff, but John 5:2 says, now in Jerusalem there are porticos by this pool of Bethesda, indicating that it was written prior to the Roman sacking. And then all the other gospels are much earlier than that, and I'm not going to go into all that. But when we look at the prediction of Jesus' crucifixion, Jesus himself, all throughout the gospels, said, I'm going to be crucified. We find that in Matthew, we find it in Luke, Mark again, Matthew, and John, and Matthew again. It's all over the place. Then when we look at the Bible describing the crucifixion, that is in all four gospels saying that Jesus died. And then after his crucifixion, of course, the resurrection, we have all kinds of verses throughout the entire New Testament attesting to the fact that Jesus rose again from the dead. Then you have the extra biblical evidence. You have the Jewish Talmud, which you could consider a hostile witness. You have the Roman historian Tacitus saying that Jesus was crucified. You have, of course, Flavius Josephus. Okay, guys, every time, can you pause this just for a second, Steve?
Okay, all right.
And the reason why I say that is every time somebody pops out and then comes back in, when I bring them back in, it takes me out of my PowerPoint thing here. So, all right, so guys, if you're going to bounce out and if you don't have to come back in, please just hold until at least, Nadir, do you have a PowerPoint that you're going to present also? Okay, all right. And so just hold off until both of us get done with our opening remarks. Okay.
Hey, wait, I can, don't worry about bringing anybody in. I'm here. I can bring them in, kick them out, whatever.
But even when you do, Rad,
yeah,
it minimizes my slideshow. If
okay.
you do it or I do it. So.
All right.
Sorry.
Okay, no problem. All right.
Okay, let's get back to my yammering here.
Starting again.
Right. Yeah, starting at 10 minutes again.
Oh.
I'm kidding. I got, according to me, I got 6 minutes, 11 seconds. All right. So we ended with Roman historian Tacitus. Then you have, of course, Flavius Josephus, Lucianus Samosata. You have Marban Servian, Celsus, Pelagian, all extra biblical sources attesting to the fact that Jesus Christ was crucified. And then you have the early church fathers, Clement of Rome, Polycarp, Ignatius, Irenaeus, Justin Martyr, and all the other ones attest to the fact that Jesus was crucified. The early church fathers, this is the difference between Christianity and Islam. We have a written transmission of historical events. Theirs is a oral transmission, not compiled until 240 years after the death of Muhammad. So when we look at the consensus of the historians, Bart Ehrman, who's cited several times by Muslims, says that this is historical as can be. John Dominic Crossan, Jewish scholars, atheist scholars, historical scholars, they all attest to the fact that Jesus was crucified on a cross. And that is a historical fact. So when we look at historical statements, when you say Jesus was not crucified is a historically correct statement using the historical method. When you say Jesus was not crucified, now what you've done is you stepped out of the historical method and made a theological claim or a statement that you are going to have to demonstrate using evidence that he was not crucified. So let's look, and then the Quran makes this statement. The Quran says that Jesus was not crucified. Okay, if you're using the Quran as your criterion to say that Jesus was not crucified, then the Quran has to show itself to be credible when making historical statements. And it doesn't. And if we go through a list of them, here's a laundry list of those statements that the Quran makes about historical facts that are demonstrably wrong. Number one, Joseph was sold for dirhams. Count it out. These are coins. Coins were not invented. Joseph lived in 1800 BC. Coins were not invented until 700 BC. This is a historical fact that they were, unless you have evidence demonstrating that they were around at the time of Joseph. The Quran is wrong on this. Therefore, the Quran is wrong historically about that fact and the crucifixion. Saying that Ezra, the Jews said that Ezra was the son of God, just as the Christians say that Jesus is the son of God. This is a historical error. No Jews have ever said that Ezra is the son of God in the same sense that the Christians say that Jesus is the son of God. This is a historical error. So the Quran makes historical error not only on the crucifixion, but also right here. It also claims that, and this is something that I'm going to hold you to, is crucifixion was used at the time of Joseph and of Moses. And this is 1800 and 1500 BC. Crucifixion was not invented for another 1,000 years. Even a source that you've used in other debates, the Encyclopedia Britannica, says that crucifixion wasn't invented until 500 BC. So how can the Pharaoh be crucifying people? This is another historical fact that is the Quran gets wrong. So the Quran gets this wrong. The Quran gets the crucifixion of Jesus Christ wrong. David wore chainmail. Chainmail, and it says here in the, was it 34:10 or whatever, it says that Jesus wore chainmail. Chainmail, or David lived at 1000 BC. Chainmail was not invented for another 700 years on a different continent by the Celts. This is a historical error. The Quran makes another historical error here, along with saying that Jesus was not crucified. The lineage of Mary. This is why Muslims are confused about Jesus being crucified. They don't get his mother right, and they don't get his name right. They call him Isa. His name isn't Isa. If you were to translate directly that from the Aramaic into the Arabic, it'd be Yasu, not Isa. And they don't get the mother right. They claim that she is the daughter of Imram, the sister of Aaron. You find that in chapters 3, and specifically 3, because it talks about the lineage, the mother, and it just does not line up for you. And then it talks about that her being the sister of Aaron, sister of Moses, in the other passages. This is a blatant historical error. So it gets this wrong. It's also getting the crucifixion wrong. The golden calf made by the Jews at Mount Sinai. It says that a Samaritan assisted Moses. Moses didn't make the golden calf. Aaron did. So it even gets that messed up. But then when it goes down to opine about the Samaritans didn't come into existence until 722, when the northern kingdom was carried off and they were replaced, and they started referring to that region as Samaria. So this is only off by another 700 years. The night journey to where? The furthest mosque? Okay, well, that's a theological statement. But when you look at where it went to, supposedly Jerusalem, the Al-Aqsa Mosque wasn't made until 705, I think it was finally constructed. This was 720. So this, again, another historical error. The Tower of Babel in Haman. It says that the Pharaoh built the tower out of baked bricks. Egyptians did not build towers. That is a historical fact. They didn't bake bricks. It was the Sumerians who baked bricks. They used the sun to make their bricks. So this is, again, another historical fact. And then they used Haman as somebody who served in the court of Pharaoh. Haman is a Babylonian name, not even an Egyptian name, and they have him in the wrong place because this is supposed to be in the book of Esther, not in the book of Pharaoh. So when we look at the Quran, when it makes statements about history, it gets them wrong, and the most important one deals with your eternal salvation, which is the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. And thus, I end my presentation.
You still got 3 seconds.
I'd be good.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Eric, for that. And all right, Nadir Ahmed, you got 10 minutes now to do your.
Do you have a slideshow? If you need a slideshow, go ahead and I'll bring it up for you. Hold on, let me remove mine.
Let me know when you're ready to start, and you'll have
I-
10 minutes.
I don't see Nadir's slideshow.
Oh, we can't hear you
He's
either.
muted. He's muted.
Nadir, can you?
Okay, can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Can hear you.
Okay,
Yeah.
wonderful. Yeah. So I'm sharing my desktop right now, and so yeah, I'll just go ahead and start very quickly here.
Right now? Okay.
Yes,
10
thanks.
minutes. Okay.
So it looks like, as usual, Eric went off topic. There's a lot he tried to throw at Islam, which has nothing to do with the topic of crucifixion, but he has a misunderstanding of history. So I want to help correct his misunderstanding. He said, look, these are all historical errors. It can all be refuted, even though they're off topic. It can all be refuted very easily by the following reference, which I have in front, which you could see. The majority of history is lost. 99.99999% of history is lost. So if the Quran is making a claim about this took place in history, and you don't have any papers or documents to substantiate it, that's okay, because 99% of history is all lost. And what little that we do have, a lot of that is wrong too, from what we understand from any historian can tell you. I have the reference over here. It says accessing history and culture is even more difficult obstacle. Almost everything of the past is lost. So now, when it comes to the crucifixion, why should we? He rattled off many references of showing, look, this is unquestionable. The historicity of the crucifixion. Well, that comes at a terrible price, which unfortunately Eric doesn't know about. So let me go ahead and share with you one verse over here in the Bible. See, it's the details. It's the details of the crucifixion story. Matthew chapter 27, verse 52. Here is a verse of the Bible which says, and the tombs opened, and the bodies of many of the holy people who died were raised to life in Jerusalem. So after the crucifixion, we had this gigantic zombie walk. I'm sorry. These are all zombies all walking around in Jerusalem. Where is the historical evidence for this? Maybe Eric could share that with us. But let me help you out. There is none. So if true, if this zombie walk with all these zombies are actually walking around, if true, this would have stunned all of Jerusalem. Unquestionably, it would have been documented by numerous sources. And it would be, in terms of shock value, it would have dwarfed the crucifixion of Jesus. Yet we don't have a single page of writing of this zombie walk. So the historians and scholars which he cited, like Bart Ehrman, they reject this as a fabrication inside the New Testament. Obviously, this is a terrible embarrassment, a very embarrassing verse. And other scholars like Michael Kona also call this a legend. So you can't have both. You cannot have the crucifixion story and you as well as the zombie walk in Jerusalem and claim that both are true. So which one is it, Eric? Which one do you want? So that was quite easily to debunk. Let's go and delve a little bit more into the details of the crucifixion story. Now, does the historical evidence, the history about Jesus being crucified, does this in any way question Islam? No, not really. What we as Muslims believe is that somebody was crucified. It's just it wasn't Jesus. So it was someone who was made to look like Jesus was crucified. So if you did show some crucifixion evidence, that doesn't really challenge what we believe. Now, I want to also focus on another important detail of the crucifixion story, and that is found inside the passage right here, 1 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 14. It says here, from the Jews who killed the Lord Jesus and the prophet they drove out. They displease God and are hostile to everyone. The Jews did it. Now, why would Eric leave out these important details, which is from the crucifixion story? I mean, so what we see here is that the New Testament is assigning a type of collective guilt for the crime of crucifixion to the Jews, of the most horrible sin of all, and that is the killing of God. This is known as deicide. So what could possibly go wrong by ascribing collective guilt to all the Jews for the most horrendous sin the mind cannot even fathom, the killing of God. This is called deicide. Let's find out what could possibly go wrong. I have here the link, the Yad Vashem Holocaust, the International School for Holocaust Studies. Here's a building inside Israel, which if you ever get a chance, you can go to that. And yeah, so what we find out, here's what can go wrong. The Holocaust, the root cause of the death of 6 million Jews is that Bible verse I quoted for you. As we can see from the documentation from the scholars and the historians, look what it says over here. Christian anti-Judaism. Okay, let's be clear. What are they talking about? Let's keep watching the video. This is the roots of the Nazi ideology. The video which I'm showing from Yad Vashem. On your screen over there, there's a link. Please hit pause on your video if you wanted to get my references. So I'm going to go through this very quickly. So what do they mean? And I'm quoting from them. Jews were accused of deicide, rejecting and then killing the Messiah. So as we can see here, the details of the crucifixion story is responsible for the death of 6 million Jews. Reference Yad Vashem Holocaust Memorial. But let me give you another reference just to solidify this fact. And this is the document or PDF if you want that reference as well. I'm going to quote for you the Simon Wiesenthal Center in Buenos Aires, referring to this passage which I just quoted. This is what they have to say about it from the following reference from NBC News. The Simon Wiesenthal Center in Buenos Aires calls it a defamatory reference of Vatican propaganda, talking about the killing, that the Jews are responsible for the killing of Jesus, that resulted in the persecution and murder of Jews for 2 millennia. So it's not just the crucifixion. So it's not just the death of 6 million Jews, but it is also 2 centuries of, this verse caused 2 centuries of persecution against the Jews. They were from pogroms to being burned alive, obviously. So, you kill God and you ascribe collective guilt to all the Jews. What do you think is going to happen? Wonderful things. Now, because Christianity is not a fact-based religion, it is an interpretation-based religion. The immediate knee-jerk reaction of the Christians is that, oh, you see, they're just misinterpreting the Bible. The Bible, we shouldn't be responsible for the misinterpretation of it. This has nothing to do with interpretation. Nobody is misinterpreting the Bible. This is about incitement. This is about saying provocative things that will piss people off. So nobody is reinterpreting or misinterpreting the Bible. Interpretation has nothing to do with it. Okay, so what the crucifixion story did, it said things, ascribed a collective guilt to the Jewish people for the killing of Jesus, and that pissed a lot of people off. Obviously, you're going to get mad if you're going to look at, and what it did, it stigmatized all the Jews, because the text of the Bible said that it's the Jews who killed Jesus, and it stated that they displease God and are hostile to everybody. So the question here, which the Christians need to answer here, God knew that by saying these things in the Bible, if he's really God, let's just go along with it. He knew that this is going to piss people off, and he's going to give it to his ignorant followers, and it's going to result in the death of 6 million Jews. But you know what? He didn't care. He's like, let's just go along with it. So I know what you're thinking. God didn't really mean to do what he did, which doesn't make any sense. And it's probably what Eric is going to basically volunteer as a response, but that doesn't make any sense here. All right. So that's a reason why we should reject the crucifixion story, because there's something very evil about it. There's something very demonic about being the root cause of the death of 6 million Jews. So that's why I'm going to finish off by reading the verse of the Quran. And now look how God removes the curse, the Thessalonian curse from the Jews. And this is what before verse 157. And they did not, referring to the Jews, They did not kill him nor crucify him, but it was made to appear to them. So, oops, I'm sorry, I got the wrong verse in front of you. I'll get chapter 4, verse 157 in just a second. So the question tonight, we have to make a decision. Which one is from the devil? Is the Quranic verse where they did not kill him and did not crucify him, is that from the devil? Or is a verse which in the Bible, which caused the death of 6 million Jews? Which
Okay,
one is from the
time's
devil?
up. All
Okay.
right. Thank you, Nadir, for your intro there. And all right, Eric, you got 10 minutes.
I think we're gonna have a discussion now. I think that's how we had this.
I was told that it was a 10-minute rebuttal now.
No. Now we're gonna have a discussion, like 2 minutes back and forth.
Eric, we can't hear you, Eric. Can't hear you, Eric.
Okay, no, we agreed upon a 10-minute introduction, 10-minute rebuttal, 5-minute crossfire, and 5-minute closing. That's what we agreed on.
All right. I don't think we agreed on that, but that's fine. Go ahead, please.
Okay, now what you were talking about is the Q&A at the end. That's when we were discussing Q&A.
All right, no problem.
Okay, Nadir, I just want to make sure, Nadir. I don't want to make sure that,
Well,
you know.
I might have a different understanding, but if that's what you want to do, we can go and do that. No problem.
Okay, all right. So whenever you tell me to go, Steve,
All right. If you're ready, go ahead and start right now.
Okay, so the topic of the debate is the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. Was Jesus crucified? That is a historical claim. So therefore, and this is why I'm disappointed, I saw zero evidence supporting that Jesus was not crucified. Nothing was presented here. So there again, I don't know how somebody wants to win the debate and say, well, the Christians caused the Holocaust, which is a different topic, a different debate. But I'm looking at why you believe Jesus was not crucified, Nadir. I'm looking at why Muslims believe he wasn't crucified, and that is because it is in the Quran. The Quran is making a historical statement. So when the Quran says in 4:157, they did not crucify him, they killed him not, that means Jesus was not crucified. All of the evidence that I have provided, to include the Gospels and the early attestation that we get from the Gospels, using the historical method, the early attestation that we get from the extra biblical sources, using the historical method, all say he was crucified. To say he was not crucified is an appeal to something that does not exist. You talk about Matthew 27:52, where the tomb's open. Again, this has nothing to do with the crucifixion. It's part of the narrative. This is true, but this is like JFK. Everybody knows that JFK was shot right in front of him. Did that shot come up from a library, or did that shot come from the grassy knoll? Nobody knows. But the fact is that JFK was shot, and the fact is that Jesus Christ was crucified here. So that's kind of that's a red herring. And also, you might not know, Nadir, it might be part of that 99% that you were talking about of the history that was lost. So how do you know that it wasn't that, you know, oh, there's no history out there to say this? Well, there's no history to say that Jesus wasn't crucified either. But yet you're going to say that, oh, whoa, you can't say that because nobody said it before. Let's see here. And then 1 Thessalonians, this deal about Jesus, or saying that the Jews killed Jesus. Number one, it was the Romans who killed Jesus. Number two, and I'm just going to leave this alone because it has nothing to do with the debate. When we start talking about anti-Semitism and we start talking about the Holocaust, and you're trying to ascribe the Holocaust to the Christians, oh, well, you know, Hitler was a Christian. No, he wasn't. You go ahead and show me one thing that was Christian about Hitler, the things that he practiced in his murderous rampage against human beings. There's nothing Christian about that. And I really don't have anything. I mean, you didn't talk about anything else. You talk about interpretation of, let's see, Christianity is an interpretive-based religion. It's only an interpretive-based religion when it disagrees with Islam, according to you. There's nothing here to say that it's an interpretive-based religion. And I would simply ask, if you're complaining about the Holocaust, where are all the Jews today? Do we find Jews in Muslim lands today? How many Jews are in Saudi Arabia? How many Jews are in Syria? How many Jews are in Iran, Iraq? All of these Muslim nations. You start talking about, Christianity and Christian anti-Semitism. Christians, we own up to it. Christians in the past were anti-Semitic. Christians in the past did commit pogroms, but it wasn't part of Christianity. It's like Muslims going out on terrorist rampages today. Would you say that they're acting like a Muslim by committing acts of terrorism? I would certainly hope not. So it's the same type of accusation that you're throwing. So, somebody that throws mud ought not to wear, I don't know, white robes like you're wearing today, Nadir. Let me see here. What else would I want to add? When we start talking about, I guess you didn't bring up Paul, so I don't have anything to, I guess I can't, I'm not going to go there. But when we start talking about early attestation, let me go back to that early attestation thing, just so we understand here, since I have plenty of time. When we look at how, because when we go to the historical method, what you're doing in the historical method is you are going back to the earliest possible source, whether that's an eyewitness source or that if it was somebody that got their information from an eyewitness source. So when we look at the Gospels themselves, it's obvious these are eyewitness statements, with the exception of Mark. Mark received his information from Peter. That's attested to by the early church fathers. So the passage of the Gospels to the writing of the Gospels and their passage over time is attested to by what the early church fathers commented upon them and said that who wrote them. The earliest church fathers to include Polycarp, a disciple of John, Ignatius, a disciple of John, who also knew Peter and Paul, Papias, also a disciple of John, all say that John wrote John and he wrote it early. They all say that these writings, when we look, like I said, with John, you look in the first century with John, when he wrote John 5:2, this is prior to 70 AD, because it says that there's porticos there. And then when you look at Acts, the book of Acts being written by Luke, has Paul still languishing in a Roman prison. We know he was still alive at that time. He was martyred in 64 AD. So Acts is written before 64 AD. We know that Luke wrote the Gospel of Luke prior to the book of Acts. So this puts it in the late 50s. We know that Luke draws heavily from Mark and Matthew. Therefore, that places Mark and Matthew even earlier than Luke, which can push them into the early 50s, even the late 40s. So when we look at the historical method, how do you arrive at historical facts? You go back as far as you can to the actual events themselves. And so when we look at the gospel record itself, that is how early those gospel records are. In addition to that, we have, of course, and I mentioned in passing, 1 Corinthians 15, 3-8. Here you have an early Christian creed that was made within 2 years of the cross. When we look at the number of scholars that support that, I have a whole laundry list of not only Christian scholars that say that it's that early, and this is how you do history, oh, by the way, is you go to the earliest sources possible, but you also have atheist scholars making that same statement. So the bottom line is when we look at the historicity of the crucifixion, when we look at the historicity of the crucifixion of Jesus Christ, you don't get better attestation through the multiplicity of the gospel manuscripts that we have, but also with how early they are. It doesn't get, when we look at how well can a historical event can be demonstrated, it doesn't get better than the crucifixion of Christ. And this is why the Quran is wrong. This one thing right here clearly shows that the Quran is wrong. But when we start adding in all of those other things, and I didn't even get to the rest of them, all those other things where the Quran is obviously wrong. For an example, it was wrong on David's chainmail. If the Quran is not wrong on David's chainmail, the only thing that you have to do is provide me some type of archaeological evidence, manuscript evidence that says that chainmail existed prior to the 10th century. If you want to say that coins existed, at the time of Joseph, all you have to do is provide me coins that existed in the 18th century. It's game over. Quran's right. All of history is wrong. If you want to say that Jews said that Ezra was the Son of God. All you have to do is show me a manuscript, somebody saying that the Jews of the Son of God.
Nadir, you got to mute yourself, please.
In addition to that, if you want to, let me go back there. I said Joseph sold for coins, Ezra, crucifixion. If you want to say that crucifixion occurred at the time of Pharaoh, fine. All you have to do is show me where they're practicing crucifixion in the 18th century BC or the 15th century BC, when everybody else says it didn't start until around the 5th or 6th century BC. If you want to say that, let's see, I don't even go with Mary, the night journey. If you want to say that Muhammad made a night journey to the Al-Aqsa Mosque, all you have to do is just show me that the Al-Aqsa Mosque was built prior to the 8th century. If you want to show me that the Tower of Babel in Haman is true, all you have to do is show us a tower that was built with baked bricks in Egypt. That's all you have to do in order to give some type of credibility to the Quran. The fact of the matter is the Quran is wrong on the crucifixion. The very one thing that saves our souls from an eternal separation from God, the Quran denies. When we look at how its track record on the rest of the comments, when it opines on history, to include Alexander the Great, I didn't even get to go there. It's wrong on all of those also. So if it's wrong on all of those and it's wrong on this, it's wrong on the crucifixion, because there's no evidence that he is going to provide to show that the Quran is correct in saying that Jesus was not crucified. There we go.
Are you done? Okay. All right. You made it exactly 10 minutes, and we gave you an extra second because of all the noise. So, all right.
Can I get that second back, Steve?
Yes. Go ahead and say a word.
Right. Thank you.
Okay, that was a second one. Just kidding. All right, Nadir, you got 10 minutes to respond and let's remember that our subject is: did the crucifixion happen? Is it is there proof that it didn't happen?
Was
Jesus evidence that it didn't happen? And let me know when you're ready, Nadir. You're muted, bro. Nadir, you're
Okay, thank you. So it looks like, as I said, Christianity. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, let me know when you're ready to start.
I'm ready. As I said, Christianity is a wacky, quacky, interpretation-based religion. We will now spend the next 10 minutes trying to decipher what is what is off topic and what is not off topic. All the points which you have raised about Islam and something about clay, and there's no way I can answer all that in this 10 minutes, okay? This is game over. All right. The Christians, they all know this is game over. That was a detail I gave you about the crucifixion story. So now the Christians are trying to reinterpret what is part of the crucifixion story, what is relevant in this debate and what is not. The guy who killed Jesus, who crucified Jesus, they're now telling us this is not relevant. That's off topic. This is nonsense. The details of the crucifixion story is very relevant for this story. See, that what I am trying to show you and prove to you, Christians, if you look at the details of the crucifixion story, who crucified Jesus with a Bible verse which I presented to you, I have proved that was written by the devil. I have proved that there's no way, that verse actually caused the death of 6 million Jews. This is game over. Eric knows it. The Christians know it. So let's reinterpret what the crucifixion, did it really happen or not? Well, okay, look, we can now conclude, since the story in the Bible, when we read that crucifixion story and we see the devil's words in there, okay, we can conclude now that this is something satanic. So if you find people confirming the crucifixion, stay away from this nonsense. Stay away from this evil. That's my argument. That's historical. And so let me share and so he said, okay, Nadir is saying that Christians crucify, the Christians call the Holocaust. No, I'm not saying Christians call it the Holocaust. I'm saying First Thessalonians did, a Bible verse did. And it's not just me, but that's what historians say. Why would you believe in this nonsensical crucifixion story after that? Why would anybody do that? This is something evil. That's my argument. This is an evil belief which Christians have, and they base their salvation on this satanic belief. That's very relevant. You misrepresented this crucifixion story in your Bible. It's the Romans who killed him. It's the Romans. The Bible says it's the Jews who did it. Can I share my desktop, please, real quick here? Let's read the passage again.
It's on there, Nadir. I'm sorry. It's on. I have it up there on the screen.
Oh, thank you very much. This is the so-called. It's off-topic stuff. Let's see if this is really off-topic. It's the Jews who killed the Lord Jesus and the prophets and drove him out. This is part of the crucifixion story from what I'm saying, from what I'm seeing here. This is not off topic. Who killed him is very relevant. Let's go back to Yad Vashem Holocaust Memorial. Actually, we've looked at that. That's this verse, which I just showed you, not Christians. It's that Bible verse, which is the root of the Nazi ideology. There's a reference right there. It's that crucifixion story you guys are bragging about. It stated very clearly, the Jews were accused of deicide. Who's accusing them? First Thessalonians. That's who's doing it, rejecting and killing the Messiah. It's part of that. It's a detail of the crucifixion story, which I'm focusing on. And this is why I'm saying crucifixion didn't happen. Okay, this is a hoax from Satan. That's my argument. How do we know it's from Satan? Well, the true book of God shouldn't be responsible for the death of 6 million Jews. I think we can all agree on that. So let's look at another reference. I'm going to take you to, this is from the reference, the American Jewish Committee. This is actually, it's talking about another detail, pretty much a parallel passage in Matthew 27:24. It says, his blood be on us, on our children, and also known as a curse. Look what the historians say. This verse, not Christians, Eric, it's this verse has led to more Jewish suffering than any other passage in the Christian Bible. The historians are saying that this verse, when you start looking at the details of the crucifixion story, there's something wrong with it. Oh my God, there's something evil about this belief. That's my argument here. So I don't think that is off topic here. There's a saying, the devil is in the details. And that's exactly where we find what the problem is with the crucifixion story. So did the crucifixion happen? No. This is some kind of hoax from Satan, from a corrupted book, which was corrupted by him. Stay away from this evil. When Allah said in the Quran, وَمَا قَتَلُوهُ وَمَا صَلَبُوهُ, they did not kill him and they did not crucify him, referring to the Jews. The question I'm raising tonight, which one is from the devil? Which one is from God? I think it's an open and shut case here. What Islam is doing, what the verse in chapter 4, verse 157 is doing, it's removing that stigma from the Jews. Okay, and the cause of their misery and suffering, it's removing that. And this is not the topic, but if you want to talk about Jews and Islam, we definitely can talk about that. All right, and we'll see that they actually fared much better under Islam. In fact, many of the Jews, they came and left Christian Europe because of that Bible verse, and they came to live in the Islamic lands. Now, that's not the topic here, but we definitely can debate that, and you will see the blessing of this verse. So the question which I am raising is, which verse, we got to make a verdict is demanded tonight. Which verse is from the devil and which verse is from God? When you look at the details of the crucifixion story, they are not only laughable, like I showed you from the zombie story, which he said, oh, that one is also not on topic. Okay, sure. So if all these, and we will get to the zombie story in just a second here and find out if that's on topic or not, but I think it's pretty clear. You got it, Christians, you have to make your peace with Hitler. You have to, because you see, when you look at the details of the crucifixion story, somehow and some reason, if we are to believe this is from God, God wanted to help the Nazis. He wanted to for their extermination of 6 million Jews, and not only that, but also for 2 millennia of persecution. For some reason, he did that. So there's no doubt about it as far as what the author of the New Testament did here. This is, for some reason, he wanted to put this type of suffering upon the Jews, and that's a question which the Christians need to answer. Why is that? Why do you think he would do something like that? You see, if he really cared about Jews, he would have been like, oh man, no, I better not author that, because that's going to incite people, make them very angry. And you have the foresight, you can see the Holocaust. Whoa, I don't think I should write something like that. But he didn't show that concern, did he? Game over. Very clear. So unless you can definitely, make your peace with Adolf Hitler and say, okay, Nadir, I've accepted Hitler, you lose this debate. I'll say, okay, no problem. Or you can reject Nazism and the root cause, which is 1 Thessalonians. So that's how I respond to all the points which he raised. Now, he raised a lot of issues about the Islam, that this historically wrong, that's historically wrong. That's actually not. What about clay pots? And I didn't even write it down. Something we didn't find any reference for that. The trip to Jerusalem. Where's a reference for that? Where's a reference for that? As I said, majority of history is already lost. And there was like a mosque. I think you were asking about the mosque. We don't have to show that stuff. The only people who deny it are people who have that wacky, quacky interpretation-based religions. Historians don't deny these things because they understand most of it is lost. But anyways, let me get back to the zombie verse. If we are to really entertain and have a serious discussion on this, all these zombies are walking in Jerusalem, and yet we don't have, and this is after the crucifixion. This is on Good Friday. This is part of that crucifixion story. We don't have any references for this. We don't have any historical, but we have we supposedly have historical reference for the crucifixion, but not the zombies walking around in Europe, in Jerusalem. So you are making a monkey out of these references that you're quoting, these historians. Yeah, Jesus was crucified. But as for all those zombies which appeared after him, there's no writing about that. So that's why historians reject that zombie verse in the Bible as a fabrication. And I quoted Michael Licona as one of them, and many others, Bart Ehrman, and all the historians which you are actually quoting. If they're, secular historians, they will not embrace
Thank you, Nadir.
this verse.
Your time is up. Appreciate it. All right. And you went over 1 second, by the way, because I was muted. So so I gave you an extra second there. So, all right. What we're going to have now is the crossfire. And this is where you guys talking to each other get to ask each other questions.
Okay, wonderful.
And so Eric, I guess you want to go. You want to go first on the crossfire?
Well, I'm supposed to have 5 minutes, and then Nadir gets 5 minutes to ask me questions. I ask him questions.
Right. Yeah, you both get to. Yes.
Okay. All right. So you let me know when my time starts.
All right. 5, 4, 3, 2, start.
Okay, Nadir, if the Quran verse 4:157 was not in the Quran, would you still believe Jesus was not crucified?
I'm sorry. Is this a cross? You're going to be asking me questions just to make sure?
I'm asking. Okay. Yeah, I'm asking.
What verse are you quoting? I'm sorry. Can you?
4:157, the one that we've been discussing here.
Okay. I'm sorry. What was your question?
If that was not in the Quran, would you believe that Jesus was crucified?
No, because the crucifixion story, when you look at the details, it's from Satan. It caused the death of 6 million Jews. So I would still reject it.
Okay. So so you don't use the historical method. All right. Thank you. So can you name a first century eyewitness that says that Jesus did not die on a cross?
Well, we definitely have references that say that Jesus did not die on the cross. But in terms of and I'll show you some of those historical. In fact, I'll share my desktop if I could.
No, you can't. I'm asking a question.
Yes, we do. We do have references to ask.
Okay. Can you name one? Tell me one.
Sure, definitely. So, for example, if we go to the Catholic Encyclopedia, we have over there that there's many groups of Christians, early Christians, who actually did not believe in that. You can do one reference I'll cite for you is Gnostic Apocalypse of Peter. That's
Okay.
one
So, all
reference.
right. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So your source for that is a Gnostic, known heretical source. All right.
Well, it's
Thank
not
you.
heretical. That's what
It
you
is.
guys
It
say.
is. It is a heretical source. Yeah.
No, it's just as
Matter
good
of
as
fact, the
gospel.
early church fathers wrote against them.
You could
Okay. Can
brag
you
about
tell
your
me? Can
evidence.
you tell me a
Yeah.
credible historian today that denies the crucifixion? Just one.
I haven't really looked into that, but I'm
Okay.
advising you
Did
don't
the
believe in the
apostles? Do
satanic
you believe
stuff.
do you believe the apostles witnessed the resurrection? Or I'm sorry, yeah, the post-resurrected Jesus. Do you believe that?
No, I don't believe in this evil satanic stuff which is in your Bible, which caused the
Okay.
death of 6 million Jews. I'm
Now,
sorry, I
Cron
can't believe in that stuff.
451:7. Okay, let's see here. Cron 4:157 says that the Jews boasted that they had killed the Messiah. Which Jews called Jesus Messiah?
Well, that's being sarcastic, right? Like, for example, there's actually a verse in the Bible which says, "Save yourself, Messiah." So this is sarcasm, which the Jews ascribe to him. Yeah, this is your Messiah being, going through all this problem. So yeah.
Okay, so let me make sure I got this right. You don't have you're saying that you would go against the historical method and appeal to the Quran for if
No.
let's say that Jesus well I asked you if you can count if 451:7 was not in the Quran, would you still believe Jesus was not crucified, and that all the historical methodologies that we use say that he was. So you're saying that you don't use the historical method?
No, why I would still reject the crucifixion of Jesus is because if you look at that story, it caused a death of 6 million
Then
Jews.
you're gonna deny any part of history that caused.
Yeah, because now we know Satan.
All right, so you're gonna say that the
Yeah.
assassination of the Archduke Ferdinand in 1914 didn't occur because it caused the death of millions of people in World War I? Is that how you do your history?
I'm not sure what you mean by that example.
Okay, well, what you're
Yeah.
saying is, well, since the crucifixion of Jesus, and it's in First Thessalonians, caused the millions of deaths of Jews throughout the
Yes.
ages.
Right.
So you're saying that we know this didn't happen because it caused the death of so many people. So what you're saying is that when Archduke Ferdinand was assassinated in Sarajevo in 1914, causing World War I, which caused the millions of deaths of people in World War I, that event didn't happen.
No, because I think these are two different.
Well, wait a second.
Situations.
Your justification
okay.
for denying the resurrection or the crucifixion of Jesus is it caused the death of millions of people, and it's evil. Well, the assassination of the Archduke was evil, also causing the death of millions of people. Can you try a little bit harder and give me a better reason for denying the crucifixion?
Okay, sure. I can try a little bit harder. Hold on a second. We'll think. So what the Quran did, it gave us a hint. All right, it told us, hey, listen, don't believe in this story.
The Quran is not a historical reference. It's wrong in so many places.
Okay, so if the Quran is not wrong in so many places. It's just that I didn't have an opportunity to answer all of these issues which were off topic, which you raised. And this had nothing to do with the crucifixion. The Quran is a scientific miracle, and it is 100% correct, and we can definitely debate that.
Yeah. So Alexander the Great seeing the sunset in a muddy pool.
Those arguments have all been debunked. Yes, they've all been debunked. Okay. But like I said, you could debate.
I just wanted to make sure. All right, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
I'm out of time. Thank you.
Yeah.
I gave you a few extra seconds because you had to repeat the question at the beginning.
That's fine. We're good.
Okay. All right, Nadir, you got 5 minutes to to ask Eric questions. So
okay, thank you.
Let me know when you're ready.
So really, I think, Eric, I want you to make your peace with Hitler, and you got to learn to goose step, because there is a reason. All right. Why do you think 1 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 14 is a root cause of the genocide of 6 million Jews? Why do you think that is?
Okay. First off, you calling me a Nazi.
I'm not telling you.
No. You told me I need to learn to goose step.
Yeah.
The fact of the matter, Al Husseini is the one that met with Hitler.
That's off topic, dude. Come on, answer my question.
Didn't you just start? Okay, say the question again then. Go
Okay,
ahead.
look, we know I have shown you 3 references in tonight's debate, all pointing to the crucifixion story. The one where it says the Jews killed the Lord Jesus. This is talking about 1 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 14. That's the root cause. It's one of the many, actually, there's 6 root causes. It's one of the root causes of the Nazi Holocaust. So my question to you is, why do you think God would help the Nazis like that?
Okay, well, who's the one that made Jesus appear to die on the cross? I think the Quran specifically says
That's
it was.
not the answer to my
No,
question.
it is an answer, because if Allah made Jesus appear to die on the cross and the Jews killed him, so there's your answer. It's Allah who's the
Okay,
one
whatever.
that did all
Okay,
of it.
first of all, I need
Wait,
you
wait,
to first
no.
back
You
up.
asked
Let me
me.
ask my second question. Look, can you accept? And you got to bring yourself to accept this. That 1 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 14, and the story about the details about the crucifixion story, I need you to accept, and you can answer yes or no, that this is one of the root causes for the death of 6 million Jews. Can you accept that? Yes or no?
No.
Okay, so you've rejected all the references which I have presented you from Yad Vashem. I've quoted from
You
you.
rejected all the references that I
Okay.
presented to you also.
Okay,
I can
so
dismiss
you've
that. That's a
rejected
different
my
debate.
references because I rejected your references.
You can do what you
Okay.
want. It's your.
Okay, so you have to see, the problem is, I've quoted you Yad Vashem, Holocaust Memorial. These are some of the.
I've quoted you early church
Okay.
fathers. I've quoted you gospel messages.
Okay,
I've quoted
fathers.
you early.
Okay,
I've quoted
okay,
you
hold on a second.
biblical references.
I don't blame you,
You-
Eric. Look,
You
I'm
quote
not going to
Yad
blame you.
Vashem, really? Okay.
Can I share my desktop here real quick? I don't blame you for rejecting what the scholars, historians are unanimously agreed upon. Okay, I've quoted for you 3
They
references,
unanimously agree upon the death of Jesus
and
Christ
these
on the
are
cross,
some
too.
of the biggest, these are some of the best scholars in the world today.
That scholars do that with the
you know,
crucifixion of Jesus
Okay,
Christ, too.
I don't blame you for rejecting it, because that's game over for Christianity.
Well, I don't
You
blame
have
you
to
for
reject
rejecting the
history.
crucifixion of Jesus, because that's just as evil as
okay,
saying that the Jews
okay.
died because of it.
Okay, so let's. Can I share my desktop here real quick, just to show
I
you
don't.
what you're
I don't.
rejecting? This is
Hold on.
the International School of Holocaust Studies, Yad Vashem.
I don't see it, Nadir. I don't
Okay.
see it. I don't see
Okay,
it.
can I share my screen
You
here?
can, but you have to try to share.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. And the only reason you're rejecting it is because it truly is game over
No,
for
I'm not
Christianity.
rejecting
You
it
don't want to
because of
goose
that.
step. That's a
I'm-
problem. You don't want to make your peace with Hitler, so you reject
well,
what the scholars and
Grand Mufti
historians are all
and
saying.
hundreds of thousands of Muslims
Okay.
did that for you.
Look at this. This has nothing to do with what my question is. Look, this is Yad Vashem International School for Holocaust Studies, number 1. My second reference here, and actually you'll find this in many references. This is all unanimously attested by all scholars and
No,
historians.
not all. No,
Okay,
not all
you know,
scholars
okay,
and
let's-
historians. That's
The Simon
kinda hard.
Wiesenthal Center for Buenos Aires, you're rejecting that. Okay. And you're also the AJC, the
No, Nadir,
American
you're
Jewish
mistaken,
Committee.
because I actually teach this stuff in my
Okay, the
class.
American
So
Jewish
I
Committee.
know quite a bit about the
I
Holocaust.
actually have more references to show you from all documented historical reference. I mean, from scholars. I mean, there's now, the issue about the First Thessalonians causing the Holocaust and the suffering of the Jewish people. I'm sorry, I'm not aware of any historian who
Is there
is
a question in
denying
here?
that.
Is there a
I
question in
believe
here?
all of them are accepting that. So my
Is there a
question
question
to you
in-
is,
Thank you.
what's that?
Thank you. I'm waiting for the question.
Yeah. So my question to you is, so since you have to now deny all of the historical references which I have given you today, then how are you accepting the historical references you gave me about the crucifixion?
I'm not denying all the historical.
You just said you
references.
denied
No,
all the
I'm-
references that blame the
saying that
Bible for this.
there are other people that will attest to the fact
Mhm.
that it isn't just a Christian problem with anti-Semitism.
No, that's
When we're
not
looking
what
at
is being told to
anti-Semitism
you.
today,
It's part
the
of
anti-Semitism that we witness today.
You're running. No, hold on a
mainly
second. I don't
from
want to lecture
Muslim
on that.
land.
I don't want to lecture from you on that.
Well,
What
it
I'm
does.
telling you, what
Okay,
the verse,
time's up.
it said this
Time's up.
verse caused the
Let
problem.
him finish.
Nadir.
Let him finish. Let him finish.
Okay, okay.
Look, I will read for you very quickly. It says,
No, I don't want you to
that
read it. I want you to ask the question.
this verse led to more Jewish suffering than any other passage in the Bible. So the problem is with this verse, which incited people to anger to do what they did. So the New Testament is the cause of the suffering of the Jewish people. That's
right.
a historical fact.
Okay.
Okay. All right. We're now in the Q&A session.
No, we have concluding statements.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't get. Okay, are those 5 minutes each?
Yeah, 5 minutes.
Okay, all right, Eric, when you're ready, start your concluding statement.
Okay, so there absolutely zero evidence has been provided that Jesus was not. The topic of the debate was Jesus crucified? Zero evidence has been provided by Nadir that denies the crucifixion. The only thing that we have gotten from Nadir is this screed about First Thessalonians and people walking out of the graves after the crucifixion, and that's about it. I've heard nothing saying that Jesus was not crucified. I may be wrong on this, but I heard nothing. And this is how debates are supposed to go: is that you're supposed to provide historical evidence for your position or evidence for your position. And the only thing that he did was he cited a verse, Matthew 27:52. Which could, and he says that, if and he even said himself, 99% of historical evidence is lost, and he says there's no historical evidence for this. Well, maybe that was the part that was lost, using his backward reasoning. When we look at First Thessalonians, I'm not sure how he's using this as a form of establishing the fact that Jesus was not crucified, because the verse says that Jesus was crucified. I think that all of this is some type of sideways attempt to try to attack Christianity in the light of a political climate today, with all of these kids supporting the Hamas holds and their murderous rampage into Israel, and to try to inflame that. But the fact of the matter is that Jesus Christ was crucified at a cross in first century Jerusalem. That is a historical fact. Anything after that, it's just, as he said, it's game over. But the other thing that I want to touch on is, if you look at, and he's talking about how evil it is for Jesus to be crucified, when it was his Allah, according to that verse in 157, it says it only made to appear so. Well, who made Jesus? It made it appear so that somebody died. It was Allah. So if you were going to say that event itself is evil, then the only thing that you can't point at the Christians, you can't point at the Bible. The only person you can point at is that evil being in the sky that you call Allah, because it was him that caused people to think that Jesus crucified. And this is the one main reason why I would never be a Muslim, because if it is in fact that Allah caused it only appear that Jesus was crucified, here you have an omniscient, all-powerful God, omniscient God, knowing what's going to happen in the future, causing billions of people to commit shirk, and he's going to send them to hell for something that he did. No, sir. No, sir. So if you want to talk about evil, we can have a debate on which is more evil, First Thessalonians or the Quran. And I can pull out all kinds of verses. The main one that I would think about, and this is off topic, I admit that, is 65:4, where Allah allows men to crawl on top of prepubescent little girls. That is as sick evil as you possibly can get. I didn't see any evidence for the Al-Aqsa Mosque that I had cited, and the reason why I cited that, and he made it sometimes, because this is one of the core teachings of Muslims, saying that that Muhammad made a night journey to the Al-Aqsa Mosque, and so therefore they make a claim on Jerusalem. Al-Aqsa Mosque, no mosque existed in Jerusalem at that time. None. We know when the Al-Aqsa Mosque existed. So again, let me just go back and I'll conclude with this, and I'll end early, is that I provided all kinds of historical sources and evidence for the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. That is the topic of the debate. My opponent provided absolutely zero. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Eric. And all right, Nadir, you got 5 minutes, beginning right now.
Yeah, he's right. I did not provide any historical evidence, because if the Christians cannot provide any historical evidence for all these zombies walking in Jerusalem, then how can I provide historical evidence for Islam? You see, that passage in the Bible, Matthew chapter 27, verse 52, which talks about the tombs open and the bodies of the holy people, were raised to life, and all these zombies were walking in Jerusalem. If you don't have any historical evidence for that, then you shouldn't blame Islam for not providing historical evidence for some of its claims. You see, so this Matthew chapter 27, verse 52, this refutes you. But it's the issue here is not all the issues he raised with Islam. I didn't get an opportunity in this debate to really debate that, so I kind of put it off on the back burner. I said, "Listen, this is not relevant to the topic of tonight's debate. The night journey to Al-Aqsa Masjid. How is this related to the crucifixion debate?" Now, I can easily refute you on that, but I decided not to because it's just not relevant. We have a smoking gun evidence. Why should I? He misrepresented chapter 65, talking about prepubescent girls. Just ignore him. That is not relevant. And he has misrepresented that verse. But I think the issue here is all your historians, which you've quoted, like you've actually quoted some historical references, we can kind of now laugh at them, that the zombies, they did not document, okay? If the zombie story in the Bible is true, it would have stunned all of Jerusalem. There would have been numerous sources which would have documented these zombies, Eric. And in terms of shock value, that would have dwarfed the crucifixion story. But we don't have a single reference for that, which shows this is all some big joke. I mean, what fool would believe in this? But it gets worse. If you look at the details of that crucifixion story, it has led to the death of 6 million Jews. So my argument is this: look, there's some kind of satanic corruption to this belief here that you got going on here. So even if you did find some historical evidence, hey, look, guys, Josephus said Jesus was crucified. My point to you, this could be some kind of satanic evil which is corrupting these people. Stay the heck away from this stuff. I have proved beyond a reasonable shadow of doubt, if you accept the historical references, all of historians, scholars are unanimous that deicide is the cause of the death of 6 million Jews, as well as 2 million years of suffering. I cited only 3 references. I could literally cite 10 and go on. Eric had to reject all of it so he could continue to believe Jesus is his Lord and Savior. And he doesn't want to make his peace with Hitler. So, I think there's no point of even continuing, even taking the rest of my time in this debate, because now that question, which is from God? Is it the verse, chapter 4, verse 157, which said, "And they did not kill him, nor did they crucify him"? Is that the verse from the devil, or is a verse from the devil, which we have found in 1 Thessalonians, where they accuse the Jews of killing Jesus, thus triggering the Holocaust, causing such anger and hostility in these ignorant people who did that? 2 millennia of persecution. I think it's an open and shut case. There's no doubt about it that Islam, that Jesus was not crucified, in spite of the laughable historical evidences you present. Why is it laughable? Because of your zombie stories. They're saying, yep, Jesus was crucified, but they didn't know anything about the zombies. That's laughable. So the zombie story, I think that's why you can't have both. Historians will reject Matthew chapter 20, the zombie story in Matthew, 27:52, and then they proceed to try to show Jesus was truly crucified, and try to present that historical evidence. From a scholarly point of view, Matthew 27:52 is an embarrassment.
Steve, you're muted.
Yeah, I still have a few seconds here for him.
Yeah, so I don't really have to continue anymore. I mean, the Holocaust thing, I think, pretty much seals the deal here.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Nadir. And now we're going to begin our Q&A. And if I could just usurp the authority and I'm just kidding. If I could, it's a question and answer. If it's okay, I kind of wanted to ask a question of each of the debaters, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. I wanted to, I can't hear you, bro. Eric?
I thought this was what the format was going to be, where we would get questions from the panel or questions from the audience, and then we'd each get a minute or two to answer the question.
Okay. Would it be okay if I asked a question of both of you?
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm cool with that.
Okay.
Yeah. But be on topic.
Okay. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and say both questions so you guys can think about them. And for Eric, I want to ask about those saints that rose up after the resurrection, who rose out of the grave. And if you can answer that, I mean, he keeps raising that's that there's no historical evidence for it. Can you answer that? And then for Nadir, you have said that the Bible is responsible for the deaths of 6 million Jews. Mm-hmm. Would you also say the Quran is responsible for the deaths of 2 million Christians? Because the first genocide of the 20th century was the Armenian genocide, where Muslims killed 2 million Christians. And they used Quranic verses as well. Would you blame the Quran for the deaths of those Armenians, Assyrians, and Greeks?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Did you want me to answer that one? Or?
Would you like? Sure. If you want to go first, I'll give you. We don't really have a time limit on this, but go ahead.
I thought we'd go 1 minute.
Okay, 1 minute. Okay. All right.
Okay, sure. Yeah, look, the same holds true for Islam. If the Quran is responsible for the deaths of millions of people. Now, I know you guys, try to make that claim, but go to the historians, go to the scholars, open up any history book, and you will never find any such nonsense like that. This is nothing more than, these are, I guess, your own wacky, quacky interpretations, which you impose about Islam. But what I would promise you, Stephen, the same criteria I do hold for the Bible, I will apply to Islam. And I don't think you'll find anything. And that's why you find your Christian apologists like Sam Shimon running away scared, because they know that these type of arguments they have no answer for. They know they cannot defend the Bible, and they're not going to be able to attack Islam in my presence, And so I would ask you, go get that coward Sam Shimon to finish the debate which we started, which he will not. So that's my
thank you,
question
Nadir.
for you. Yeah.
Okay, Eric.
Yeah, I'd like to refer Nadir to this book right here, written by a Jew. It talks about how golden it was for Jews to live under Muslim rule, and he paints a pretty different picture than what you're painting right now. And the thing about that is, no Christian denies that there have been anti-Semitic Christian anti-Semitic crimes committed against Jews throughout the centuries, for the very reason that Nadir cites. But Nadir needs to do himself a favor and look at a calendar. It is 2024. What happened in 2023? It was the Muslims, motivated by Muhammad's ideology, to tear down that fence in Israel and go into Israel and rape women openly, brutally burn women and children to death, shoot people indiscriminately. This didn't happen. Okay, I get it. Shoot people indiscriminately. So when we start talking about the hatred for the Jews, it's 2024. Now, the verse 20, Matthew 27.
All right, Eric. Unfortunately, your time is up, bro. You didn't answer the question. I love you, man.
Yeah.
I love you, but all right. All right. If we have questions now from the,
I got a question. I want to go first because I have to actually run. So my question is for Nadir.
Hold on, Rad.
What?
You do not run. You and I have talked about this. There's no. I'm kidding. Go ahead.
Well, anyway, I gotta leave. Anyway, Nadir, my question for you is, okay. Just to clarify, so you're saying that because of the verse in Thessalonians that it's responsible for the Holocaust and the suffering of Jews, because it says that they committed deicide, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so thank you for proving that Jesus Christ was actually crucified on the cross because he was God. And since the Jews did kill him and they created deicide, don't you think that God would punish the people and
Mhm.
cause great suffering to them if they actually did commit deicide? So
Mhm.
thank you for proving that. Anyway, that's all.
Okay, can I answer that?
Sure, go ahead.
Well, no, I do appreciate your honesty. That you are now admitting. I mean, what you have actually said is the right Christian position, that the Holocaust is God's punishment upon the Jews, coming straight out of First Thessalonians. That's the only logical conclusion. And you have made your peace with Hitler, which I'm very appreciative of. But what my point here is that Islam offers a different, a much better answer to the crucifixion. I don't have to make my peace with Hitler. What he did was horrible evil, and it has nothing to do with God. But I do like and I appreciate that you are being honest, and many Christians, and what I'm asking other Christians to do is follow your way. How you have made peace with Hitler, I think is very honest of you, and I appreciate that.
So then you do admit that if a people commit genocide or deicide on a god, that they should be punished by that god, correct?
No, Allah removes.
No, you don't. Wait. Hold on.
If this was true,
Hold on. Let me
Yeah.
clarify. Let me clarify.
Yeah.
So your idea of God is not a wrath and justful God that he would allow, okay, a people that he raised up to destroy him, to crucify him, to kill him, and go unpunished? Is that what you're saying? Is that what kind of a weak, pathetic God you have? That he would not punish them? What kind of a God you worship?
Do I
Okay.
get time to provide an answer also? I just go ahead, Nadir, but I'd like to answer this.
Yeah,
one
no,
too.
the what I'm saying here is that the Jews did not kill God. That's silly, number one. And so the great thing
You said
about
they
the
were
Quran,
punished.
Rad,
But you
you've
said
got,
they were
Rad,
punished.
you got to allow him to answer.
Yeah.
Sorry, brother.
so the great thing about the Quran and Islam is that it did something wonderful for the Jews, that it removed this horrible, painful stigma from them. And so if you look at the exact wording of the Quran, it made it very clear that Jews did not kill him nor crucify him. So that is why I'm saying the Quran has proved itself to be the word of God, at least on this point right over here when it comes to the crucifixion story. And that's what I want Christians to do. I want them to accept the right way, not the Nazi way, which you have accepted. I think that's the wrong way of understanding this.
Okay, well, just real quick.
Can I ask a question next?
Can
I
we
have a
get
question
other,
too.
in case somebody else has a question, Rad, can we let someone else
Okay,
ask?
I gotta
too?
go. But I just want to follow up. Thank you again for admitting that God punished the Jews because they committed deicide. Thank you.
All right, did someone
Are
else?
we going to have a queue?
Can I?
Oh, yeah, go ahead, Eric.
Let me reply to that. Okay, number one, if he is indeed claiming that because of First Thessalonians, that because Jesus was crucified, number one, he's admitting the crucifixion. But let's just pretend that he's not allowing for the crucifixion. He's allowing for what his Allah did to Jesus, which was on the cross. Again, he's allowing his Allah to be responsible for the millions of people that he claims have been killed because of this verse. It makes zero sense. It makes Nadir, if your Allah made Jesus appear to die on a cross, and you're saying that the death of Jesus on a cross has caused more anti-Semitism and death of Jews.
No, I'm not saying that. You misunderstand the story. I mean, first of all, you misunderstand.
I'm not misunderstanding.
Can I? Let me just respond to this.
No, I get my time.
Okay.
I get my time. If the statement is that it's First Thessalonians, which says that Jesus died on a cross, has resulted in the death of millions of Jews because of anti-Semitism. Oh.
It's not Jesus died on the cross, which caused a death of the millions of Jews. It's by making the claim that the Jews killed Jesus. It's a collective guilt
and that's
placed upon the Jews.
I can go with you. I can go with you on this.
Okay. Yeah.
Because so you still have to have the death of Jesus, And who caused the death of Jesus?
The
Your
Jews.
Allah. No, your Allah made it appear that he was dead. You would
No,
have
that's
none
not
of
what
this.
the text says.
You would have no.
That's exactly what it says.
No, it
you would
doesn't.
have
Read it
no,
again.
You would have no standing.
Okay.
You would have no
Can I
standing. Let me finish.
respond?
You would have nothing to stand upon if it had not appeared. If nobody died on the cross, nobody's going to write that Jesus died on the cross. But if Allah made Jesus appear to die on the cross, then it is Allah that is ultimately responsible for that. That is the point I was
No.
making.
All right.
All right, we need to go to the next
Can I
question.
respond to this?
Can we get another? Anybody
We have
else who has a
one.
question?
DL had a question.
Okay.
I think.
Nadir, you said 1 Thessalonians chapter 12. Paul is responsible in his claim. Paul is responsible for the death of 6 million Jews.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you're claiming?
Well, it keeps saying that I'm making the claim. No, I'm saying all historians and scholars point to that verse that is responsible for the death.
Okay,
Yeah.
so what I want to let you know is that Paul is writing to Gentiles, and all Paul is doing is he's teaching to the Gentiles nothing other than what the prophets have spoken. So let me give you a rundown. Nehemiah chapter 9, verse 26. Nevertheless, they, the Israelites, were disobedient and rebelled against thee, and cast thy Torah behind their back, and slew thy prophets that testified against them, to turn them again unto thee, and they wrought great provocation. I believe Paul talked about the Israelites killing
what's
their
your
own
question?
prophets. Verse 30, hang on. He says, yet many years didst thou bear with them and testified against them by the Spirit through thy prophets, yet would they not give ear, therefore gavest thou them into the hand of the peoples of the lands. Jeremiah 24:9, I will even give them up to be tossed to and fro among the kingdoms of the earth for evil, to be a reproach and a proverb and a taunt and a curse in all places whither I shall drive them. Jeremiah 29:18, and I will pursue after them the Israelites with the sword, with the famine, with the pestilence, and will deliver them to be tossed to and fro among the kingdoms of the earth, to be an execration and an astonishment and a hissing and a reproach among all the nations whither I have driven them.
Okay, so what's the question?
Ezekiel, no. What I'm telling you is Paul did nothing but teach the Gentiles what the prophets taught, that the Jews would be a curse and a byword, right? A taunt to all of the kingdoms. That's exactly what they were in Nazi Germany. And that was the result was the punishment from Yahweh spoken of by the prophets.
Right.
All Paul did was teach the Gentiles in Thessalonians exactly what the prophets had taught centuries and millennia earlier. So if you're going to blame Paul for the death of 6 million Jews, then you have to condemn his sources as well, which are the prophets, whom you Muslims always say peace and blessings be upon them. And I rest my case.
Yeah, I think like the last caller, I think what you're doing, you're trying to make your peace with Hitler. And that's exactly what
No. What I'm telling you
hold
is
on a
that
second. Let me now you spoke, I'm gonna
Jews
answer.
Is a result of God's
Okay, let him
judgment.
can you let him respond, Dio?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So you're making your peace with Hitler. And I think what all the what the Christians are now conceding now is that based on the evidence, you have to now conclude that this is that the Holocaust, the death of 6 million Jews, is God's punishment upon them for rejecting and killing God himself. And so that's how Christians, and so you're now basically, God is using Hitler to punish the Jewish people. I mean, that is exactly my point, that, you kind of have to sort of embrace that Nazi ideology. And so I'm kind of pleased and at the same time disappointed as what I'm seeing, that you guys have decided to hang on to Christianity. I've decided to embrace Nazism, which is pretty much what's happening now, or at least portions of the Nazi doctrine.
Nadir,
But
thank you.
let me If I
Does
can just
somebody else have a question? No,
Okay.
Nadir, we got your point.
Okay.
We're all a bunch of Nazis. Okay, can we?
They're embracing
can we
Nazism.
get-
I'm not.
Can we get?
I have a
somebody
question.
else have a question?
No,
Okay.
Okay, Chris, you can go after I respond. You can ask your question. All right. You're saying that we should embrace Nazis, and
They're doing it, not me.
the only people that have embraced the Nazis were Muslims during World War II. This
This is off topic,
try-
dude. Come
What
on.
the? Are you kidding me? This is off
Okay,
topic.
you want to talk?
Okay,
I'll
I didn't
destroy
interrupt you.
on
I
that.
didn't interrupt you. I did
Okay,
not
no
interrupt,
problem.
interrupt
Go
you
ahead, and
on
we
that,
can
Nadir.
debate. We can debate Palestine.
That's
if
fine. You
want.
want to do that,
Let's
but
debate
when
that.
the only people that associated themselves with Hitler, the
Mhm.
Nazis, the anti-Semitism, and the ones wanting to kill Jews, it was not people of the Christian using their Christian faith as a justification for it.
Sure.
Well,
This
if
is
you, I mean,
laughable,
if you
laughable
wanna- if-
Zionist
well, if you-
propaganda.
Right. Okay. So again, this is
Yeah.
where you deny the historical method and anything associated with it to come to the conclusion of the topic of the debate, which you're way off on, was the crucifixion of Jesus. And you say, oh, that's propaganda. It's kind of weird that you would continue to say that that's propaganda when we have actual pictures of the Grand Mufti of Jerusalem associating with Hitler, the Grand Mufti of Jerusalem providing evidence, providing advice to Himmler on how to construct Auschwitz. Oh, we got a picture of him in Auschwitz too. I guess maybe that's propaganda also. And we also have information where he raised up Islamic battalions to fight for Hitler. So when you start trying to say that, we're goose-stepping and we're making peace with Hitler, the only people that made peace with Hitler was people like yourself.
That's so silly. It's so silly, Eric.
Instead
That's
of
okay.
interrupting them, can we keep this to a
Yeah, go ahead. Chris.
mutual respect?
Go ahead.
Okay. Can I respond? to this nonsense?
No. You don't get to rebut the rebuttal. This is a question and answer. You gave your answer. He gave his answer. We're on to the next question. You know how debates roll, right, Nadir? Now mute up. So my question would be, and I'm going to say a few things, and then I'll ask my question at the end. So I'd like to thank you, Steve, for hosting the debate. You did awesome. You really have. Eric, your opening statement was amazing and well thought out. Nadir, thank you for being a clown. So Nadir, can you please provide the names of the historical scholars that you claim the Bible is the reason for 6 million Jews being executed? I don't want websites. I don't want websites. I want the actual scholars' names. If you can't provide their names, you're lying about their credentials.
Okay. I'm not gonna listen. You need to tone down and don't insult me. All right. I can give you this. I can give you the names of the institutions.
I want the name of the people.
Because you are not
the name of the people.
Okay. No, because you are. Let me tell you something, Chris. You are not an educated person, so I'm going to educate you and explain to you.
Okay, Nadir,
references
I
work.
am an
Okay,
educated
listen,
person.
if you guys are going to shout me down, I'm going to leave. Hey, listen, if you're going to act like that was me, I'm going.
You specifically said.
You guys, can we tone it down, you guys?
I'm not going to be abused by you guys.
No, I agree, Steve. I specifically asked the question. Can he address the specific question I asked? I want the names.
Okay. I'm not going to be abused by the people in the question answers time.
Now, hey, Steven,
now let me explain something. I'm not going to be abused by these people.
Just answer the question, please.
No, I'm not going to. No, listen. I'm going to walk away if you're just going to allow me to be abused. Okay.
At least one question answered.
Okay. Okay. So let me share my desktop.
Nadir, let's do this. Let's just do like a timer, so we don't have people talking over each other. So when
it's about people abusing me, I'm not going to be abused up here.
Well,
okay.
I'm sorry you feel that way, but calling other people goose-stepping Nazis is kind of the same type of insult.
Well, no, actually, the people in the question answer time are agreeing with me. They're making their peace with Hitler.
1 minute, Steve. Can you hear me, Steve?
Yes, I hear you.
1 minute. And then he gets 1 minute, I get 1 minute.
Okay.
That probably works best. All right.
Okay. Now that your minute has started.
Okay, I want to share my desktop.
I don't see it, Nadir. I don't see it.
Okay, let me share my desktop, because the person who asked that question, he's just not an educated person. Okay. So let me explain to you
That's an
how
insult. That's an
scholarship
insult.
works.
That's an
I am
insult.
quoting a battery of scholars. So when I show you, this is a Yad Vashem, the International School of Holocaust Studies. Okay, this is the conclusion of all of their historians and scholars. Okay,
Proof it.
so please stop interrupting me. So this is from their video right here, the roots of the Nazi Holocaust of Nazi ideology. I'm sorry. This is a conclusion of their works. So that's why it's good to quote a website which is better than actually quoting individual scholars. Now, here is a reference for the individual scholar which you have asked for. I have both the video and the PDF. So I
Okay,
can click on this link.
Time's up. I wish
Okay.
you would have just answered the question, Nadir. Does anyone else have a question?
Can I?
Just wait.
Yes,
I
yes,
want
yes.
Eric to answer.
Wait.
Just a second, guys. I want Eric to answer because he has the right to have his minute after Nadir.
Yeah, and I was raising my
and
hand.
the scholar I'll give you is Daniel Pipes. Dr. Daniel Pipes is one who've also talked about that. And I can give you that reference as well.
Okay, you get an extra 2 seconds there, Eric. So
2 seconds. All right. Don't be too generous.
Guys, can I ask
can we let
simple
him
question?
answer first, bro?
What? Say that again.
Someone wanting to ask a question. I just said let's let Eric answer first.
Just, I'm only going to take a couple seconds here to answer this. Now, when we start talking about this source of Yad Vashem, Yad Vashem, folks, is a very credible source. Nadir, and I agree with you. It is a very credible source. But Chris's question was very specific. And when we start asking for specificity, like I have been asking in this debate, the only thing that you've responded with, and Chris was right to ask that question, is generalities. When we're asking what the topic of this was Jesus crucified? And we're over here talking about Holocaust studies. We are way off topic.
No,
my desire, we absolutely are, and you know we are. So my desire here for the rest of this stream, and if you want to walk away, Nadir, and not talk about the crucifixion, that is your prerogative. I want to talk about the historicity of the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. If you want to talk about the Holocaust or anything associated with that, then you go on ahead, Nadir, but you're not going to do it here.
Okay, Eric.
Oh, go ahead. I'm done.
All right. Montez, you wanted to ask a question, bro?
Yeah, I want to ask a very simple question since I'm a native Arabic from Saudi Arabia, and I'm going to just say Salam Masih to everyone here. And also, I want to ask a very simple question to Nadir. Since the topic is about was Jesus crucified, didn't you know that in chapter 3, verse 55, actually it confirms that Jesus did die for 3 days, and then God resurrected him, and then he went back, according to chapter 3, verse 55, Tafsir Ibn Kathir. And this is not actually from me, by the way. This is actually one of the most famous scholars, which actually Sahih al-Bukhari, and he actually confirms Jesus' death, according to your sources. So why do you have to run away to the Bible to confirm that it's actually false and all this nonsense? Yet even Dr. Bart Ehrman actually confirms that Jesus did die, and he himself not even Christian. And he confirms the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. So can you please answer my question? Is this even true or not?
Because no, none of it is true. It's all stuff. Like I said, Christianity
what if I showed you?
Yeah, okay, you could go and show me. You could, but we could debate that.
Right, no problem.
But look, I told you.
Let him respond.
Christianity is
I'm gonna go ahead.
Yeah, Christianity is a wacky, quacky reinterpretation religion. You are just reading what you want. But then you use our Bible to confirm that Prophet Muhammad was actually true.
Can I
look? Allow me to respond. Look, these are all you're reading what you want into the text of the Quran. The Quran, actually, the Muslims are all united. I mean, if you look at Islamic scholarship, okay, they're all united on the fact that Jesus was neither killed nor crucified, but it was made to appear to them. So the Quran doesn't say that Allah made him appear to them. So that's a second misinterpretation of the text. It was made appear to them. So now, is it Allah's blame that why we got this corrupt belief now? No. Nobody told anybody to start making a religion off of this, whatever happened. False prophets, deceivers like the Apostle Paul began to use whatever happened there and started creating some wacky, quacky religion off of it. That you can't blame Allah upon. These are the deceivers who, and really, it's not even deceivers. We can now say for sure it's the devil.
So Allah is not the best of.
Let me. It is
deceiver,
your God,
according
which
to
is the best
chapter 3, verse.
That
54?
is another wacky, quacky interpretation. Like I said, Christianity.
What is khayru al-makirin means? What is khayru al-makirin means?
Are we now going to debate?
If you know Arabic,
who am I? Okay, you had your question. Khayru al-makirin is not on topic, but like I said, you could bring up all your wacky, quacky interpretations.
Steve, could you please share my screen?
Okay, you know what?
So I can show it to him.
Look, I think I'm going to
Nadir, that verse about Allah being the best of deceivers is in relationship to what he did.
No, you are being the best of the deceivers.
It's in chapter 354.
Okay, do you want me to debate that? Do you want to debate the best of the deceivers?
No.
Okay, we can debate. Wait. Okay, this is turning into a shouting match.
Let me show you the sources.
Okay.
According to Al-Bukhari,
Look.
confirms Jesus' death according to your sources.
Okay. You guys, Eric is giving us directions here. So
okay, look, this is turning into a zoo. The Christians are angry because we
Nadir,
showed
stop talking and let Eric speak, please.
Okay.
He's in control, not you.
Okay, so when we talk about let me start my minute here. Okay, when we start talking about that verse that Mikhail, what was the gentleman's name that said that?
Montez.
Thank you for that question. That verse that he's referring to can be interpreted that Jesus did die. I agree with that.
No.
But I don't want that to be true. And here's why I don't want that to be true. I want 4:157 to be true, and I want the Quran to be perfectly preserved, even though it's not, demonstrably not. That's a joke. I want it to be perfectly preserved because this is a clear error, and it demonstrates clearly, without any ambiguity, that Muhammad was lying about this, and Muhammad was making all of this up. When we use all of those other examples that I brought up, showing how pathetic the Quran is when it opines upon historical matters, this is only another nail in the coffin. The Quran is wrong about the history of the crucifixion and dozens of other things. All right. Go ahead. Question.
Okay. Is there anyone else who has a question?
I think Paul Sutcliffe had one.
Okay.
By the way, I have some question too.
Hey, bro, but could we let Paul ask a question and then we'll come back to you, bro?
I have a question.
Not me. I've been waiting to ask a question.
Oh, please.
Okay. Maybe after Paul. Sir.
In the one picture that was shown by Eric, Nadir, for some reason, it upset you. It's a historical fact. I know that you started your entire debate, your section, by saying you don't believe in history. My question is, yes, you did. You repeatedly stated that we couldn't. Yes, you did. You can ask anyone here on the panel if you denied that history.
No, okay. I didn't say that.
Okay, now, I'm not done. Please let me speak. You got to let me have my few minutes. I know you can't handle that, but that's what you said. You can't handle the fact that there was a picture here showing the true ally of Hitler was the Muslims. Now, I teach history, and I have been doing it for 30 years. And I'll tell you, the ones who partnered with the Nazis were the Muslims to speed up the genocide. So will you leave Islam because you said the genocide is bad? Killing Jews is bad. Are you saying that you will leave Islam because they partnered with Hitler? That's
okay.
My question.
So I will answer it with a counter question. How many wacky, quacky, cockamamie interpretations did you find there? See, like I told
just answer the question.
Hey, don't shout me down. Don't shout me down, guys. Okay. Look, the issue, which I told you, Christianity is not a religion which offers facts to people. It is a wacky, quacky interpretation-based religion.
Okay.
So first of all,
let him answer.
Please let him answer. Okay.
Let him answer.
If you are a history professor, then you are a quack by claiming that Islam in some way provided support to the Nazis, and this caused the genocide.
As I said, you did not. You hate history. You deny history. That's your basis of everything. And so far today,
this is turning into something very ugly. I'm very busy, but I tell you what, Paul, you want to talk about if Muslims really,
I
Islam
will never
really,
debate someone who doesn't believe in history.
No, I didn't never said that. That's another wacky quacky interpretation. I told
you
you
don't even believe in any of the tafsirs.
All right, you
I
guys.
gotta go. Guys, I'm
it's
done.
Miss
Thank you so much. Listen, what I will end by saying, get that coward Sam Shimon, Christian Prince, to come and debate me. And
Habibi,
I'm gonna take
you do not need
like
Christian Prince or Sam Shimon. You can just debate me and I will get you busted.
Okay, you guys, thank you. I'm sorry, Miss Shirkalot, that he wanted. Could you ask your question though, Miss Shirkalot, even though he ran away?
Well, I did. I would like to know, because it was made to appear that Jesus was crucified and somebody else took his place. I would like to know who took the place of the replacement, so on and so forth. Where's all the history about that?
Well,
the standard answer is Simon the Cyrene, and they get that from the Tasphere, and the Tasphere gets it from the second great treatise of Seth. It's a Gnostic, it's a known Gnostic heretical writing. So if he believes in the replacement theory, it was either Simon the Cyrene or Judas Iscariot. But if it's Judas Iscariot, it does not line up with the chronology that we find in the Bible with Judas hanging himself. We find that, I think it's in Luke, where Judas hangs himself before the crucifixion even occurs. So there is no answer for it. There's no coherent or logical answer, one that is based on history, using the historical method. And this is what I tried to press him on today was, if we're going to accuse you of that, Paul, is just absolutely ridiculous.
Well, my question, anybody else hear him say he didn't believe in history? Because I heard
he didn't believe. He said that the sources that we had were
99.99999%
right,
done away with.
That's
funny. So he was saying he didn't believe in history. That's what I find funny.
Yeah.
And then he makes the accusation, well, that the proof of Jesus didn't rise from the dead has to do with this, with the killing of the Nazis killing the Jews. So again, my question: will you leave Islam because Hitler was a partner with Islam? I mean, those are historical events.
This is a guy that denies.
He denied Islam.
Well, he denies the crucifixion. And this is where when we start looking at how history is done, for example, and this is I've been thinking about this a lot this past week when we start talking, because I thought he was going to start talking about the corruption of the Bible, and I've been kind of focusing on this, but this idea of Matthew 27 somehow, that's just stupid. I don't know if I could come up with a dumber art, but it doesn't matter. But what I was saying is that when you start making these arguments about the crucifixion not occurring, and the Bible being corrupt, what you have to do is you have to show, okay, here you have a manuscript that says that Jesus was crucified. Now, if you are going to show that this manuscript has been corrupted, and all of the subsequent manuscripts that come after that say that Jesus was crucified, what you have to do using the historical method is find an earlier manuscript that says that Jesus wasn't corrupted. This is the problem with this corruption shtick. There's nothing proving that the Bible was corrupted to the point. We have variants. Nobody denies that. There have been insertions. Nobody denies that. But to say that the Bible has been corrupted to the point where Jesus wasn't crucified, that everything was corrupted by Paul, that is and I was talking, I don't know if I was talking to Paul about this week or if I was talking to Rad about it, but this is like trying to have a conversation with somebody about Hamlet and Shakespeare.
Oh,
and
yeah,
the person starts talking about Charlie Brown cartoons. This
Yeah,
is
and we jumped on you for that because how dare you?
By the way, guys, I also I want to add a comment to what Brother Eric actually said. Even guys, even in their own sources, if we read the tafsir of Ibn Kathir, chapter 3, verse 78, it says that Al-Bukhari, again, this is actually one of the most respected scholars in Islam. Look what he's actually said. Steve, can anyone share my screen?
I got
it.
Yeah, look at this. Look at this. Al-Bukhari reported that Ibn Abbas said that ayah means they alter and add, although none amongst Allah's creation can remove the words of Allah from his books. They alter and distort the apparent meanings, but not the actual text. According to who? Tafsir Ibn Kathir. Now let's go down. Let's look at what Wahab bin Munabbih, look what he actually said. He said the Torah and the Injil remain as Allah revealed them, and no letter in them removed. So how they even say that the Torah and the Injil got corrupted? If they are corrupted, then also the Quran is also corrupted.
Ed, is this the guy? This is the guy that you were talking about. You were saying that we had to have come on. Yeah, okay. And again, you're absolutely right. This guy is golden. Thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, when we start looking at, there was a certain point, and you correct me if I'm wrong, because you would know, because you grew up in all of this. There's a certain point in Islamic history where everybody agrees that the Bible is true. But when it starts coming out, Steve can correct me on this wrong too. I don't know why I'm leaving you. I'm dissing you, Steve. Sorry about this. But there's a certain point where they start saying, when they realize that the Quran completely contradicts the Bible all over the place, they start coming up with these excuses or these rescuing devices. When is that point?
There was a point they saw that because the Quran blatantly says 7:157 that the Bible predicts the coming of Muhammad.
Right.
And that's when they started saying, "Oh, okay, it's been corrupted." And this is about, I've heard within 400 years after Muhammad that they started realizing that they got a problem.
Ibn Kathir lived in the 11th century, 12th century? When did he live?
Between the 8th and the 7th century, which is after the prophet's death. Which is after the Prophet Muhammad actually died after 200 years. So I don't know how they even say that it's actually reliable source.
Okay, so wait a second. Now are there two Ibn Kathirs? Am I right on that?
I believe. Well, I mean, look, I don't know. I mean, a sheep came in and ate some of the pages of the Quran. I mean, they were busy drinking camel's urine. I don't know, man. I mean,
there is. I just want to say there is an Ibn Kathir version of the Quran, and then there's the Ibn Kathir, and these are two different. Different.
Okay, so the one that we're talking about, this Ibn Kathir, is 1300.
Yes.
So this is the 12th century or the 14th century.
14th century.
So if Ibn Kathir is making this comment, oh my gosh, if Ibn Kathir is making this comment in the 14th century, when did this stick of corruption occur? When did that start?
Can I ask a question?
Brother
let him finish what he's saying. Then you can go.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Just small one comment. You have to understand. 80% of the religion is based on hadiths. That means it is based on oral tradition. Can we actually trust oral tradition?
Sure.
More than eyewitnesses? We can't. It's impossible. So that's all I have to say. Please, Isa, Kabir, go ahead.
That's me. Thank you. Appreciate you, Mikhail. So I want to ask you a question, Eric. Where did Nadir go? Did he just leave?
He was a lot.
He had to run. He had to run.
Yeah, he would never say that. Yeah, he was running. Because I remember he said that Michael Brown's running from me, and I'm like,
and
Sam's running. Yeah, so I'm gonna say
and Christian Prince, he said.
Right, and Nadir ran. I'm gonna start saying Nadir ran for my show. evil like that to make stuff up, but
I'll say it for you. Nadir ran away.
I might message him on IM just to taunt him a little bit, but I wouldn't say it seriously. Go ahead. I'm
Poor
sorry.
Nadir
So
had
my
to run
question
because he
to
couldn't.
you-
No. We ran away from Nadir, you guys.
Yeah.
Yusuf Mughallaq said we ran away from Nadir.
So my question would be to you, Eric. Actually, my question wasn't to him; it was to you, just to like grant for the conversation. So, your argument was that you said, "Hey, I have a historical argument saying that I'm using these," and I think it's a very strong argument where you're like, "Look, I have hostile witnesses and scholars who are secular and atheist and don't agree with my position, and thus they are also reinforcing my position because they believe in Christ's crucifixion." Okay. And then you're using also the biblical argumentation too. So Nadir brought up in his position that, or Nadir brought up in his position that, well, there were the Jewish sages or the Tzaddikim that rose from the graves and were walking around. So how would you address the kind of historical narrative versus the spiritual, supernatural elements? So the Gospels offer kind of a supernatural elements like the curtain splitting in half in the Sanhedrin, and the Jewish sages rising from the grave, and a lot of things during this crucifixion space. So these scholars probably would not agree with those particular elements. How would you engage that space of engaging the supernatural with the
so when we start looking at the details, and this is exactly where Muslims want you to go. They want you to get lost in the details. This verse that he cited in Matthew 27 about people coming out of their graves and interacting with people in Jerusalem itself, I would say that is historical. That is a historical event. It's if I believe that the Bible is divinely inspired, and it inspired Matthew to write that, I'm going to believe that. But it also says that they ascended to heaven after that, and this is completely consistent with what the gospel message is. What Jesus Christ did on that cross gives us the ability to from decaying in the grave to spending eternity with God. So I don't think that there's any historical evidence for that, but just because there's no historical evidence for that doesn't mean it occurred. Just like Nadir said, 99% of the history is not recorded. We don't have evidence for it. But also, this is kind of a red herring that he's trying to throw out there, and I tried to throw in there the assassination of JFK as a great example of that. Nobody disagrees that JFK was assassinated. I mean, that is a historical fact. The details of his assassination, the people who knew about it, how many gunmen there were, those facts are in dispute, or people have discussions about them. They disagree on them. But the fact that he was assassinated is the crucifixion. Jesus was crucified. Now, nobody's going to deny JFK wasn't assassinated, just as no historian, no serious historian would say that. And I have searched, I've Googled, I've DuckDuckGo'd, I've done AI, Chat, GGP, or whatever. I have been looking for any theological historical source that has passed peer review and is published in a journal that Jesus Christ did not die on a cross. And I've been doing it for years, and I have found no one who has gone through the peer review process that has been able to make that claim that Jesus did not die on the cross. They'll deny the resurrection, but they do not deny that he died on the cross.
Well, that's just evidence to the Muslims that it's true. No, seriously, let's take a look at this first of all. What did Nadir accomplish? Nadir accomplished his mission. What was his whole debate? It wasn't a debate. It was just an opportunity for him to publicly slander and blaspheme against our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. That's all he did. Zombies and clearly false prophets, and it's from the devil. This is from the Satan.
Because we believe in quacky wacky stuff.
Exactly.
Like he said.
That's all this thing was to do, was slander him. Now, I did want to address my point that I tried to bring up to him, but I kind of butchered it. But basically, it's this: his argument against against the crucifixion was that it caused Jews to suffer for 2,000 years, including the Holocaust, because it was falsely accused, according to him, that created deicide, right? Okay. Well, if that premise is true, then that shows Allah is a cruel God, because he allowed his people to suffer.
That was my argument.
For over 2,000 years. But if they did crucify him, and God is a just God, then yes, wouldn't it follow that would be proof of the crucifixion? If in fact that is his argument, do you see what I'm saying? So he's on a horn of a dilemma. Either way he goes, he gets poked in the butt by the horn. But no, dude, this is painful.
Hey, Rad, you actually surprised me with that. I want to compliment you. You did a good job with that.
Oh, thank you. Well, I surprise myself sometimes. It happens, but no. But seriously, I mean, all he wanted to do was just blaspheme, and that was it. And he accomplished his mission. He added to low and sour and torture. But I'm sorry, I'm out. I gotta go. So.
All right, Rad. See you, brother.
You know, if you just scratch the surface of what Nadir is saying, I mean, you don't have to go very deep for his arguments to fall apart, because I'm not moderator anymore, so I don't have to be. But you know, like the Quran says that Allah's the one who determines the destiny. Allah's the one who determines, you know, how long you're going to live. Allah determines everything before you're even born. Everything is predestined. And so Allah, according to the Quran, destined Hitler. Allah destined every single thing that happened in the Holocaust. You know, all you got to do is just scratch a few inches. This thing falls apart, you know. And Nadir, you know, with his arguments about, you know, you're all Nazis and everything like that, you know, he's going against what his own book says.
Well, he like I said, I was telling you before the debate, he called me a Nazi when we were just going back and forth during the week, trying to iron out some of the details. And this is why when he came in here and pretended like he didn't know what the show format was, I was like, are you really going to be that dishonest? I can screenshot it and show it for you. But he sent me this, and I sent this to you, Steve.
Okay.
This is a brochure that he wanted me to look at that deals with, because he says that he trains or works with protesters in college protesters in Florida. And then he said, and then he sent me this brochure. And of course, he throws out the Nazi epithet. But one of the things that it is mentioned in here, it talks about how, I tell you what, I'm just going to save this for next week, because this is going to be next week's show. It's scary what they're trying to teach our college kids. It really is.
So can I ask a question about the crucifixion?
Let's go.
Okay,
Who's
so
talking?
Wisdom Ahmadiyya.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes. So my question is regarding the crucifixion.
Yes.
We as Muslims of Ahmadiyya Jamaat, we say that Jesus was put on the cross and that he survived the crucifixion. So what we say is that he fainted upon the cross, and then he was taken to the tomb, and he survived, because in the gospel it says that there was 100 pounds worth of myrrh and aloe that was taken into the
75, but yeah.
So then after that he was rescued by the disciples, as there's in the gospel it says that Thomas could touch his wounds. And then what we say is that he then traveled towards the east to go and administer to the lost tribes of Israel.
Could I ask you a question, Wisdom, about that?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
I want to ask you, now in the Quran, it says they did not kill him and did not crucify him.
Yes.
But you're saying they did crucify him.
Yeah, so what that means is neither did they kill him. So the Jews say that they killed him, right?
But they said but it says in the verse they did not crucify him either.
Yes.
Now,
yes.
so you're saying they did crucify him.
I have an answer for this.
No, it's meaning that they did not crucify him, meaning that the whole completion of crucifixion didn't happen. That he didn't die.
Are you Muslim?
Yes, I'm Ahmadiyya Muslim. So we believe that
Ahmadiyya
Jesus,
Muslim, okay.
yeah. So we believe Jesus died a natural death in Kashmir.
But do
shrine,
you
Roosevelt.
believe that he was crucified? So is the Quran wrong when it says they didn't crucify him?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So he was put on the cross, but he didn't die upon the
Okay,
cross.
but that means they crucified. If he survived, that's one thing. But what you're saying is they did crucify him. The Quran says they did not crucify him.
Okay, can I?
Yes,
they didn't crucify him. But you're
Can I
saying
answer
they
this
did
one?
crucify him, meaning the Quran is wrong.
No, I'm saying that the whole completion of death upon the
But
cross
that's not what the
didn't
Quran says. It says they
Okay.
didn't crucify him. They
And
didn't put the nails in his hands.
I agree with that. That's what the
No,
Quran says.
but
Let me
that's what I'm saying.
answer.
This is my interpretation.
Can I answer your question?
This is an Ahmadiyya interpretation, though.
Okay,
Yeah, I know it is, but it's still.
Let me answer the question. And I agree 100% with you, Steve, that is a misinterpretation of what the verse says. Because I honestly believe this says that if you were going to crucify somebody, that doesn't necessarily, that's going through the process. That's not, and that is assuming that a crucifixion is done until completion, because there's no record of anybody, with the exception of 3 people, surviving a crucifixion in Roman history. And the only reason why those 3 people, and one of them died, they were taken off the cross early because they were friends of Josephus.
Yes.
And 2 of them received the best care possible in order to survive. So that let's just make sure we understand that historical point. Nobody survives the crucifixion. Now, what you're asking for is for the Roman soldiers to not understand when somebody dies on a cross. When somebody dies on a cross, you're not dying, you're not bleeding to death. When you die on the cross, you're dying from asphyxiation. You cannot breathe, because when you are hanging on a cross, that causes your too much pressure to build up on your chest, and you can't exhale. And if you can't exhale, you can't inhale. So in order to get that pressure off, you have to push up with your feet. Where your feet are nailed to the cross, you have to push up, and that will relieve the pressure, and then you can exhale and inhale. If somebody is hanging on a cross for 15, 20 minutes and not pushing up, that person's dead. You are not that, that person's dead. The Romans would know that person is dead. The second thing about this is that the Bible describes the Roman soldiers running a spear through the heart of Jesus. Nobody swoons when they have a spear run through your heart. You die, you bleed out. And it talks about blood and water coming out of Jesus once that happens. The third problem with this is that somebody who knew Jesus, Joseph of Arimathea, Nicodemus, are recorded in the Gospels of taking Jesus down from the cross and preparing him for burial. They would know if Jesus was dead. They would not have taken Jesus and put him in a tomb if he had not been dead. So this idea that he swooned is not, number one, historical, but number 2, is not even plausible. When we think of things are possible and plausible, there's no way that this is even possible, let alone plausible, knowing the Roman application of crucifixion as a form of torture and death. That's not going to happen. The Gospels record both of those people next to Jesus, their legs were broken. The reason why they broke their legs is because if you break your legs, you can't push up, and they knew that they would suffocate. Jesus was not moving. He was already dead. These 2, they broke their legs, waited for them to suffocate, and then they took him off the cross. So this idea that he swooned does not pass the method of, number one, the historical method, but even what we know about crucifixion itself.
You know, Eric, I'm sorry for talking so much. It's just as Zakir Naik talks the same thing that our friend is here, and I'm really glad there's an Ahmadi here, because I've always wanted to ask Zakir Naik, because the Quran is very clear. They did not crucify him, and what they're saying is they did crucify him, but they didn't kill him, and so because he didn't die. But they did crucify him, but they didn't kill him, because that's what the Ahmadis say. They crucified him and he survived. Well, then that means the Quran is wrong, because the Quran said they did not crucify him. And our friend here is saying when it says they did not crucify him, that means they didn't crucify him to the point of him dying. But that's not what the Quran says. It separates they did not crucify him from they did not kill him. Okay, but the Quran is clear. They didn't do either. They didn't crucify him and they didn't kill him. But he's saying they did crucify him, but they didn't kill him. And so, the Quran is wrong according to the Ahmadi belief, which Zakir Naik pushes too.
Okay, so Zakir Naik is not Ahmadi, and he doesn't hold the same viewpoints that we hold. So according to...
But you hold that position though, right?
Yes. So let me tell you. Okay, so
the Quran's wrong.
No, you're not understanding. When the Quran says, neither did they kill him.
No, not kill him. Crucify him.
I know. The Quran says, neither did they kill him. Allah speaks to the Jews. And then it says, neither did they crucify him. Now, the crucifixion interpretation...
They did crucify him though, right?
No, but listen, I'm saying. The crucifixion definition according to the NIH...
I can show you the verse.
You're wrong.
And tafsir.
You're contradicting yourself. The Quran says they did not crucify him.
Yes,
I'm bringing it up. They didn't kill him.
I'm bringing it up.
Let me give interpretation of it. So it says
your interpretation, but the Quran is plain.
No,
they did not crucify him. You say they did crucify him.
Okay, crucifixion may be defined as a method of execution by which a person is hanged, usually by the arms from a cross or similar structure.
Okay, yeah. But could you please read the verse here, because you've been yapping and yapping.
Yes. So it says, and they did not kill him, nor did they crucify him. So when I'm saying
so what does that mean?
You're saying they did crucify him. You see that, which I'm glad, but the problem is you are disagreeing with the Quran, because the Quran says they did not crucify him.
They put him on the cross, but he didn't die.
That's crucifixion. You say they did not crucify him.
Yeah. Eric, can you go to Corpus Quran and look up that word crucified?
In Arabic, it's masalabu. They did not crucify him.
But this is an Ahmadiyya interpretation.
There you go, Eric.
It's like Khatamun Nabiyyin doesn't mean the final prophet; it means the seal of the prophets. It's the Ahmadiyya have different kind of interpretations than like the mainstream.
Guys, you can show it to me in the Arabic language, and I will read
it's on the screen.
No problem.
It's on the screen.
وَمَا صَلَبُوهُ وَلَكِنْ شُبِّهَ لَهُمْ. And they did not crucify him, but it made appear to them. There you go. So what is the issue here?
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. It made appear to them that he was dead on the cross, because Allah had to save Jesus from a cursed death, because in Deuteronomy it says whoever died upon the cross is cursed by God.
It doesn't change what the Quran says.
Let me ask you a question then.
Yeah.
Do you think that the Roman centurions who carried out the crucifixion, whose punishment would be a crucifixion themselves, or minimum death for failing to carry out their duties properly, would make the mistake of allowing somebody to survive a crucifixion?
Okay, so we know according to science. Sorry, yeah.
No, go ahead. I'm curious.
According to science, it is estimated that a death on the cross would take approximately 48 hours or more. And according to biblical, the gospel, there are three different accounts. So one account says that he died on the third hour.
There's no. That's just a different reckoning of time. There's different reckonings. Right.
So one reckoning says he died on the third hour.
One is the Greek reckoning, one is the Hebrew reckoning. There are different reckonings of time, but they do not differ on when he died. It was 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It's just different ways of saying it.
So we know, and also his legs wasn't broken as well. So from that we can also tell that he he was, he survived. And also Pontius Pilate marveled as
right,
if
and
he
I have an answer.
died.
There's an answer for that also.
Okay,
Go ahead.
and then Pilate was assured by the centurion that Jesus was dead.
Right.
But this same centurion who had earlier said, "Truly, this man was the Son of God."
That's not
But
true.
wisdom,
We don't know for sure if
wisdom,
it's this. We do
the
not know
Quran.
for sure that this is the same Roman centurion that said that. But that you could make that an inference. I would allow that you could make that inference, but it does not say for sure that it's the same one. But let me address this dying so soon.
Yeah.
The scourging that Jesus had gone through and the massive amount of blood had caused his body to go into a hyperbolic shock. Hyperbolic shock is where your organs start shutting down because all your organs are competing for blood in your body. So when we look at just the carrying of the cross to Golgotha, Jesus was was whipped and scourged so badly, he did not have the strength to bear his own cross. So when they're coming out to go to Golgotha, this is where they made somebody standing by, Simon the Cyrene, to carry the cross for Jesus. Why? Because he did not have the strength. Why the other prisoners, they had the strength to carry their crosses, but Jesus didn't have the strength to carry his. Why? Because his body was going into what they call hyperbolic shock. It was shutting down from the scourging that he had received, is the rapid blood loss that he had received. So when they hammered him to the cross, nailed him to that cross, he was 3/4 dead already. So to say that, Pilate marveled. Yeah, Pilate marveled because most people, like you said, did survive longer on a cross. But the fact that he was scourged so badly gives us a clear indication that that he was already half dead by the time they got to that point anyway. Guys, I got to get running. I mean, I'm already late and I'm in trouble.
Yeah, so
Okay, wisdom. If you would send, dude, here, I'm going to pop my email, Eric, in the chat. And if you want to come back up on the panel and have any of these discussions, I would be more than happy to bring you on. But I really do have to run. Here's my email. I don't know if you can see it. There we go. Eric Theckefer. Send me a way to notify you of the stream, and I'll get it to you. But the rest of you, again, everybody that came today, we had a lot of people in chat. Thank you so much. And for folks on the panel, I appreciate your patience. I know a lot of you have experiences with Nadir, and we've had him on the show before, and it didn't really work out well. I was kind of hoping of a hope to get this done, but the goal of trying to expose this idea that Jesus was not crucified, I think we accomplished that mission today. I don't know. I'll let the people who are viewing this decide. But everybody that came in on the panel, thank you so much for coming. Everybody in chat, thank you for coming. And we will see you
Eric.
next week. Next week, you're more than welcome. We'll see you next week on the Cross and the Crescent discussion group. Yes, Brad, here we go.
Advanced student and specialist, that the standard narrative has holes. That's what
that the Muslims were rioting against one another. And as much as we don't want to face the fact, the Muslims were lying sometimes. They were fabricating, they were embellishing, and that might be hard to accept, but that is a reality.